Producciones Radio Monteverde presenta En la entrevista con personalidades, periodistas, profesionistas, empresarios, políticos, eventos y mucho más en la entrevista.
Hello, I'm Aaron, and we would like you to welcome to the interview program with the motive of the week, that is the third anniversary of Radio Monteverde. Today, we have a very special program because we have reached Los Angeles, to speak with a special guest.
Hello, my name is Andres, and we welcome Daniella Guzman, who is the anchor in a news program from the NBC in Los Angeles. How are you, Daniela?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for reaching out to me and including me. Congratulations on the third anniversary.
Well, first of all, you have an excellent English. And we would like you to thank you because you have answered our call in order to have this interview. But we would like you to answer this question. Who is Daniella Guzman?
Who am I? Wow. That's a good question. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a professional. And I was born in Houston, Texas. And my family members, my parents are originally from Bolivia. And I grew up in Houston, Texas, right outside of Houston, Texas, just in a southern small neighborhood. And I just grew up really curious and wondering what the world was all about. And I grew up watching the news, and that's how I got interested in the news. So I guess that's me. I don't know if that's interesting enough.
Talking about you, is it hard to be a mother, a wife, and an anchor from a TV program?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very hard because you have to balance everything. You know, you feel like you're not perfect at everything. And as much as you try to be really good at everything, it's just so hard. But I've really learned to just balance everything and take it day by day. And it's really important that you have a support system. Like my husband, Hector, he's very supportive. And I don't think that I would be where I am without him right now. And so my parents support me, my extended family members, everyone just supports me and allows me to be able to, do what I do. So it is very difficult, and I'm not perfect, and I still have a lot to learn, but I take it day by day, and it's just important to have a good support system around you.
Yes, that's how they say that the union makes the strength.
Yeah, that's right.
How's a work day for you, Daniela?
Like on an everyday basis, I wake up at 1:30 in the morning. It's really early. Probably some of you are going to bed at that time, but I wake up at 1:30 and my alarm goes off. I have 2 alarms just in case I sleep in because it's hard to wake up. I wake up really slow because it's early. I go to my closet and I just pick what I'm gonna wear. I get dressed. I go downstairs. I grab my breakfast and my lunch and I head out the door. So I live about 10 minutes from work. I drive to work. And as soon as I get there, and I listen to the radio, so I'm listening to the news as I'm driving in. And as soon as I get to work, I go to makeup. We have a makeup artist here. I go to my makeup. I get my hair done. And while I'm doing that, I have the television on, so I'm listening and I'm hearing and I'm watching the news that I missed while I was sleeping and what happens overnight. So after I get my hair and makeup done, we have a 3:30 in the morning meeting with my producers, with the writers, and the other people on the show. When we talk about what the show is going to be about, what the big picture is, what the big story is. For example, today was the Ebola outbreak. Everyone is scared about Ebola and how that's going to affect them. We have a lot of local things going on here in Los Angeles and California. The president, President Obama, is in Los Angeles today. So we talked about that, what his agenda is. We talked about how that's going to affect people in traffic. So we really just identify exactly what stories we want to cover for the day, because the show is about 3 hours long. So it's long, and it's a live show. So we have to prepare for that. And the show changes. Things develop as the morning goes on. So after we decide what stories are going to be in the show, we split up, and I go to my desk, my computer, and I look at what's called a rundown. And that is where it's like on the computer, it's a program where we see the news story. So I start reading what all of the producers have written. And I change it. I put my style to it. You know, it's really important that I like the way that it's written. And so I change it up a little bit, and then it's time to go to the set. I have to be on the set, sitting there at 4:15. Lights, camera, action. The show starts at 4:30 in the morning, and it's nonstop until 7 o'clock in the morning. So we do weather, news, traffic, a little bit entertainment, and then at 7 o'clock the show is over. But I have to stay till 10:30, and I do cut-ins. What I think you guys call like breves, just like news information in between other programs, traffic, weather, stuff like that. And then I just kind of hang out. I meet with my managers, and we plan for the next day. And I just sit at my desk and I read. I read news stories. I think of stories that we can use for the next day. So it's always constant planning and thinking. And then I'm always, you can ask my husband, I'm always on my phone. So I do tweet, I Instagram, I do Facebook. I'm always like, just see, look, these are all notifications that I have, and they're all news stations. And so I just look to see what's going on. And just because I'm not at the news station, it doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on. Because now with the technology, I always have to know what's going on. See, my phone just vibrated. I just got all these notifications while I'm talking to you. So it allows me to be connected. It allows me to do social media. It allows me to always know what's going on. And then I come home and I go to my second job. I have 2 jobs. One is a news anchor and the other one is a mommy. So I come home and I'm a mommy, full-time mommy. I play with my daughter, Sophia. She's 3 years old. We go to the park, we go to ballet, we go to gymnastics, we go to school, we color, we do all that stuff. And so we have dinner like at 5:30 as a family with my husband, and then we kind of settle down. We'll watch TV or we'll read a book as a family, and then like I go to bed at 7 o'clock at night. And then I start all over again at 1:30.
That sounds
so
very
it's kind of
exhausting.
hectic.
And tell us, how has been your career through this important internship?
You know, what helped me a lot was the fact that I spoke Spanish. Here in the United States, speaking Spanish is so valuable. So I honestly think that I got my first job because I spoke Spanish, you know, and I could read and write it. And so I got my job and I worked my way up. I had to say yes to everything. When they needed someone to work a double shift, I was like, I'll do it. When they needed someone to work extra long hours, I said, I'll do it. When they needed someone to do a story that nobody wanted to do, I said, I'll do it. And so just the fact that I was the go-to person when they needed someone to do something, I think really helped my career. And then I started talking to other people in the business, networking, getting to know people. And little by little, I just worked on myself. I invested money in myself, like educating myself, teaching myself, reading. And you just start growing little by little. It's not always easy. It was really hard at the beginning. But you just have to keep working at it and never be satisfied where you are. I mean, you're never good enough. You can always be better. And I feel like that's where I am in my career. I always want to be better, and it always can be better. So you never settle for what you have. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, I also think that the best investment for one is investing in itself, because it helps us to improve. So for us to get an idea, which kind of studies or knowledge do we have to have in order to work in a communication media in the USA?
Okay, so you basically have to get a communications major. They're called majors here. And it's communications. And then within the communications major, you can study advertising, marketing, journalism, something like that, public relations. So once you get into the major, then you specialize in journalism, periodismo. So you start taking journalism classes and you learn how to write, how we write in news. It's very different than how you write in newspaper, for example. And how you write for radio is very different, because if you think about it, radio does not have visuals. You can't see video in radio. So you have to be very descriptive. You know, when you're talking about a flower, you can't just show a flower. You have to say the color, describe the texture, describe the shape. So you learn how to write for whatever medium that you want to work in, whether it's radio, newspaper, or television, or online, internet. So you learn how to do that. If you want to do television, then you learn how to edit. You learn how to shoot a camera. If you want to do radio, you learn how to record. You have to learn how to use all the switches. There are a lot of buttons and switches involved in radio, as you know. In newspaper, it's just you have to do online, and now it's changing. Not a lot of people read a newspaper anymore. You know, everything is like online now. So I would pick journalism, and then you have to do internships, which you guys call pasantías. Very important. I did 8 internships while I was in college, and that's how you learn. I mean, taking tests is fine, but you don't really learn like that much from just taking tests. You have to actually do it. You have to hold a camera, you have to edit, you have to write, and you have to mess up, and then you have to do it again. So it just takes practice. And if you want to be in communications field and journalism, you have to just do it. So my suggestion would be to major in journalism, study journalism, and then go do all of the internships that you can. That's what I would do. That's what I did.
Would you like to do any radio program?
I have done radio before, and I really like it. Number one, because I don't have to get, dressed up, no makeup, no hair. That doesn't matter in radio. I like that. And number two, I like that there's no script. Like, I don't have to stick to what someone else wrote for me. I can just speak. As you can tell, I like to speak. I can just speak and say whatever I want, however I want. And I like having that, liberty to do that. Sometimes when you're stuck to saying something that's written for you by producers, it gets a little hard. So yeah, I would do radio in a heartbeat. I like it a lot, and I love music, so it'd be fun.
We'll be waiting for you to come here.
Oh, thanks.
To a live show. Well, what has been like the most difficult new to cover, or what has been the most difficult thing that you have done on the news?
Yeah, I have covered a lot of difficult, tragic, sad news, and I think the most difficult news for me to cover is when it involves like children, just because children are so innocent, and when other people do harm to children, it makes me so mad, and I just feel there needs to be justice immediately. So one time I was working in Houston. There was this daycare, una guarderia, there was this daycare, and this one woman took care of 13 children. I think it was 11 or 13 children inside of her house. So they went to sleep, right? But all the children went to sleep at the same time. And she went to a store called Target. I don't know if you know Target, but there's a store here called Target. It's like Walmart, but Target. So she went to Target, locked the door, locked all of the kids inside the house while they were sleeping, and left them by themselves. And she was cooking, and she left the fire on, and the house caught fire. And all of the children inside of that house burned and died. I would say that was one of the hardest stories that I've done, because all of the parents ran to the home and they couldn't do anything. They were helpless. The house burned down, their children died, and it's just things like that really upset me, when innocent children are hurt and when people are taking advantage of. Like, I hate reporting on stories like that, but it's the reality, and it's what's happening in our world. And people should know what's happening in their neighborhood, so they know what to be careful for.
I'm talking about your emotions. How do you control them? Because it sounds very difficult to give all these sad news without having those strong emotions.
Yeah, I definitely feel emotional about a lot of stories. But you know what? I've learned that you have to be professional. And I don't do what I do so I can make you believe something. Like, I just give you the news and then you make your own opinion. based on what I'm telling you. But trust me, I have my own opinions. So I basically just have to be professional about it. And when I do give my opinion, I do it on social media. I don't give it on the news because that's not my responsibility. But I do have an opinion, and sadly, I got used to a lot of the sad stories. I just kind of got used to it, but it still hurts. It's still really, really sad. But you say so many of them that sometimes it's just sadly, you get used to it.
Okay, so moving to another subject, tell us a story that you remember and that signifies something to you.
A story that I remember. Oh my gosh, I've done so many. Let's see. That means something to me. Well, through my position and my work and the platform that I have with my work, I've been able to help a lot of people, which to me is the best part of my job, is the fact that I can give voice to people that would not have a voice without television. And so I feel responsible to help other people. So many times, like in Houston, it's so hot in Houston. And and not everyone has money to have air conditioning, right? So these older people, viejitos, they were a lot older. They didn't have air conditioning. And so they were in their house, like melting, it was just so hot. We were able to go out there, do a story on them. And all these companies and people came out and donated air conditioners to these people. So when I get to do stories like that can directly impact, or there was this little girl who couldn't hear, and they didn't have money to buy, the device for her to hear. And we were able to shed light on the fact that this little girl needed this device. And so people donated money and donated those earpieces for her. So when I'm able to do stories that can change lives for the better, that can do a positive impact on people, those are the best stories that I can do.
Well, we have already acquired the knowledge that handling with emotions is one part of the artistic media that we don't see, but there's another difficulty or thing that is in the artistic media that's also hard.
Yeah. You know what? The hours are really hard. Working, these hours as a working mother and wife, and it's difficult because it's not normal to wake up at 1:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted, I'm tired like all day, but it's so rewarding. It's so many good things, also positive things come from my job. And you know what? I don't have Christmas off. I have to work Christmas. I have to work Thanksgiving. I have to work on my birthday. I have to work when a lot of people are off and are on spring break and are with their families, So it's a lot of sacrifice on my personal life. And that's why I tell you, you have to have people around you that support you and that understand you. For example, people that work in sports, if you like sports, either radio or TV, you have to work on weekends. You work Saturday and you have to work Sunday because that's when they play sports, right? So you don't have a normal family lifestyle. So that's difficult, and you have to get used to it. And sometimes, my phone is always on because what if something happens? Like, what if, someone kills the mayor or someone kills the president or something huge, or there's an earthquake here in Los Angeles that happens all the time. Like, they call me and I have to go to the station really fast. And it doesn't matter if I'm at a wedding, if I'm at a party, if I'm with my husband, it doesn't matter. So you always have to be available, and that's difficult. So, if you just have to get used to it and be with somebody that supports you. If not, it just makes your job kind of hard.
And what would you suggest to all those students that are listening to us and that wish to get into the world of the communication media?
What would I tell them?
Yeah, what would you suggest to them?
Whew, there's a lot. Okay, you ready for this? The first thing that I would say is educate yourself. Number one is the most important thing, because you don't want to make mistakes, on air, live. Everyone's listening and watching to you. Like, for example, one of my anchors said the name of the president of Egypt. So the name of the president of Egypt is Mubarak, right? And one of my anchors said, I forget, he like mispronounced the name. And you just have to know how to pronounce like all these names in different countries and things like that. So you have to know what you're talking about, or at least appear like you know what you're talking about. So you have to educate yourself. You have to want to learn, want to read and all that stuff, but it's fun to know those things. So educate yourself, number one. Number two, network. Do you know what networking means?
Not really.
Networking means, I'm trying to think of the translation. I don't know. Anyway, so it means meeting people and asking questions, like people that work in my business. Hold on. Amor, ¿cómo se dice networking en español?
Networking en español.
No sabe. He doesn't know. Yes, gringo.
Eventos de...
Anyway, it's when you go to like events and you meet professionals that work in your same business. Does that make sense? Like you go to an event, like for example, I go to an event and there are other media people, producers, radio, newspaper, social media, and you meet each other. And so one day, you know, you're gonna need a job, and you call them because they're a producer at another TV station, or they're at a Eventos profesionales de trabajo de tu industria. That's what my husband says. Okay. So, you know, just like get to know people that work in your industry, because they may call you. Like, for example, I'm just going to give you an example. So right now, my TV station is looking for producers and a weather person, someone that does the weather. So they asked me, Daniela, do you know anybody really good that does weather or that produces really well? And I said, of course. I've worked in Chicago. I've worked in Houston. So I called them, and 2 of them got hired in Los Angeles because I recommended them. So it's important that you meet other people and you ask for their business card and you keep in touch. That's really, really important, because many times it's like who you know? You get jobs because of who you know. And just work really hard and say yes, be on time, don't be late to work, and just work really, really hard and have good ethics, like be honest, be truthful, no drama, no gossip, no chismosos, just work, focus on work and work hard. That's my advice.
Well, thanks for the advice. Do schools over there have also these kind of programs like that we have about our radio program?
Oh, of course. Every single school that has a communications department, every school has one, has that, for sure.
I thought we were unique.
Oh, well, you are unique.
On Mexico.
Because yours is extra special. Not as good as ours.
Okay.
Because you have the best principal there, named Miss Rebecca.
And do you think that these radio workshops in our high school could give something or a tool for our future?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know what you have to work with, like what you actually do. Could you tell me, like, what is it that you guys do for the radio?
Those who choose this workshop make teams, and every week, every Wednesday, we do our program. Like, we design each section of the program, and we just do the program.
Yeah, so you decide what material?
Yes, we choose like which subjects to talk about, music, and anything we want. So
right. That's great, man. That's so cool. Absolutely, it's going to help you because, if you do an internship, you can say, I've worked in radio. I mean, you're working. This isn't like for fun. This is like your work. And you could be watching TV, you could be playing PlayStation, but you're not. You're learning how to use the machines. You're learning how to talk and think and talk at the same time live. I mean, all of that is so helpful. Anything that you can do right now to just practice is the best thing that you can do, really.
And we have also done interviews to people in the school, outside the school, to the same students. So
yeah. And you should really challenge yourself and try to do stories, for example, like watch the news, local news, and see what they're doing and pick a big story that's happening in Cancun. You know, it doesn't matter if it's controversial. It doesn't matter. It could be even something like that you see on the internet. And I can send your teacher and Miss Rebecca a link to 2 or 3 websites that I always go to and find stories. And it's all stories that people can say like, oh my gosh, that happened? Or he did what? Or she did what? You know, it's always stories that interest people. And so you can read the story and then you can talk about it on your radio show, and maybe you can ask people to call in, or you can interview and get opinions. And, you know, just the more interesting stories you do, the better practice it is for you guys.
Okay, thank you. So this is the end of the interview, and we would like you to send us a congratulations to all the Radio Monteverde staff for their 3rd anniversary.
Okay, perfect. In English? Yes?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. I'm Daniella Guzman from Los Angeles with KNBC, NBC4, and I just want to send a big congratulations to all of you that are working so hard on this radio station, on Monteverde's radio station. Congratulations, dream big, and maybe one day I'll see you here in Los Angeles.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
And now they have told me that that if you please send the congratulations in Spanish also.
Okay, I can also do Chinese, French, and Italian. I'm kidding, I can't. Okay. You ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Hola, muchísimos saludos desde Los Ángeles. Soy Daniella Guzmán con la cadena NBC, Canal 4. Quiero felicitar a todos los estudiantes, todos ustedes, los profesores, los maestros, por todo el trabajo y esfuerzo que hacen para que salga adelante esta radio en Monteverde. Les quiero felicitar por los 3 años del aniversario. Siguen adelante, trabajen muy, muy duro y van a ver que un día van a alcanzar las estrellas. Espero verlos muy pronto aquí trabajando en Los Ángeles. Besos, bendiciones. Bye, bye.
Oh. Bueno, ya es en español. Bueno, te agradecemos muchísimo que nos hayas dado tu tiempo y pues haber aceptado esta llamada para que te entrevistáramos. De verdad, ya vimos que el tiempo ahí para ti sí es todavía muchísimo más valioso que para nosotros. Pero te agradecemos así infinitamente aquí, con el corazón desde Cancún.
Ay, muchas gracias.
Así es, ha sido un placer hacer esta entrevista contigo. Me he divertido mucho. Y bueno, también ha sido un gran reto porque todas las preguntas que hicimos fueron en español, entonces tuvimos que traducirlas a inglés en el último momento. Entonces, fue un muy buen tiempo contigo.
Qué bueno, chicos, no saben, no sé si se vayan a querer quedar en México o si los estudiantes se quieren venir acá a trabajar a los Estados Unidos, pero de cualquier forma tienen que aprender bien el inglés, escribirlo, hablarlo, y lo hablan muy bien. Háblenlo con confianza, vean mucha televisión, lean muchos libros. El inglés, ya sea allá en México, es muy valioso, y acá en los Estados Unidos el español es más valioso todavía. Aquí pagan el doble, el triple para contratar a gente que habla español. Entonces es muy valioso lo que ustedes están haciendo y lo que tienen. Entonces tomen ventaja de eso y siguen haciendo lo que están haciendo. Lo están haciendo muy bien, y la práctica de lo que están haciendo con la radio es espectacular, muy bueno, porque no todos los colegios son tan afortunados de tener estos tipos de programas. Entonces tomen ventaja de eso y hagan historias buenas, hagan historias que afectan a la gente de tu comunidad, a la gente de tu colegio, a tus papás, a gente que no tiene voz.
Sí, bueno, con esto llegamos al fin del programa. Nuevamente muchas gracias por tu tiempo, y mi nombre es Andrés Nieto y nos vemos hasta la próxima.
Y yo soy Aaron Mendoza, y pues como ya dijo mi compañero Andrés, nos vemos hasta la próxima.
Muy bien, chicos, gracias por su tiempo, gracias por llamar.
Esto fue una producción de Radio Monteverde. En la entrevista, no te pierdas nuestra próxima emisión. En la entrevista con